In today's video is the third video of this series of me showcasing every single spell of every single dungeon. And today is Pirate Island. So without further ado, let's begin. The first spell we have here is the only uncommon spell, unlike with all the Winter Outpost ones, which were uncommon. Now for this one, we have is the Ghostly Cannon Barrage. Call down a ghostly cannonballs in the area, which scales with spell power. This thing has a 12 times landing, which times 230, but it has a pretty substantial cooldown. But the good thing is while this spell is running, the cooldown will go down, unlike with some other spells. An example of this is if we use this Ghostly Barrage, we can actually use other spells and this spell count will go down. But if we use this one, this number will not go down. And this is a Winter Outpost spell in case you were wondering. Now, here's exactly how you use this ghastly spell on a dungeon. Right, here's how you use it. It's basically like a more extended version of Firebomb. See if we equip Firebomb right here. I can go ahead and chuck it, and it basically does like this. This thing is basically a wider range. So basically I can get all the troops over here, and I can go ahead and use it so it can go ahead and constantly hit. Have the mobs go into the area and constantly damage them more like that. This spell cannot move once it is placed, so once a place is determined for it, it is the place it will stay forever, even though you can do it a certain distance, which allows it to outrange some mobs. And the next spell we have here is the Demonic Strike. This is the only physical ability that you can get in the Insane Dungeon. It is basically a 500 multiplied by 1 with physical thing. Now you may notice this with the Ghostly and say, hey, that's a way lower multiplier. You may notice this, you can land 3 of these spells when only one of these. This is a very quick burst attack that basically just does a ton of damage, all 550 burst damage, all there down at once immediately. Here's how you use it in a dungeon. Now for this one, go ahead and instantly use a strike basically forward, and it's basically 5.5 sword strikes immediately at once. So basically you can go ahead and repeat it over and over again, which you can constantly keep on damaging it. Now we have Guardian Call, which is the Guardian spell for Pirate Island. Now basically you just use this and it's kind of like one singular taunt. I feel like this is slightly worse than Taunt Era, but it's used pretty similarly. Anything that's in the red line's ranges, even if it's inside of them, gets taunted by that. You also gain a small shield of it, 1/3 of your health. I have 10 billion HP, so with that I would technically be getting a total of 3 billion shield, or something like that, which is a lot. The next spell we have here is Universal Heal. Now this is a spell that you can both get in Nightmare and Insane. Universal Heal has a 14-second cooldown. I'm pretty sure that's the longest cooldown for a spell. But the thing is, regardless where you are, the heal will reach you, and it has a total of 2 ticks. There doesn't need to be a tutorial on how exactly to use this, just use the spell and the healing will reach. That's literally it, just no matter where I am. I can move away from the people, and it will still reach them regardless. For the first Nightmare spell you may have is Pulse Waves. Now this is the weakest of the Nightmare spells, and has a level 62 requirement for a Nightmare spell. That is very weird. Here's how you use it. You basically go ahead and target your person, make sure to use shift lock with this, and use it, and it basically fires repeatedly wherever you're looking at with Pulse Waves. This honestly is a multi-hitting move, hitting a total amount of 16 times, or 16 ticks, which is a lot. And it has a 9-second cooldown, and it goes down as you use it, so it's pretty nice. Alright, here's how you use it. Once you're in a faraway range, just go ahead and fire away. Keep it at a certain distance. I may have done a little too far, but don't be afraid to make sure to wait for your spells to reload so you can continuously fire at them at a good range so you can deal with them pretty well. You can continually fire with them, and for bosses you can just do the same thing. Honestly, just keep them at bay, keep them at a good distance overall, and you should be fine. The final spell for Warrior is the Enchanted Spinning Blades. Now this is a 12 ticking attack with 1.75 total, but it's honestly, I think, the coolest spell of them all. You can go ahead and activate them, and the thing will just be spitting swords. You don't have to aim this. These swords will follow you. So it's an auto-aiming attack, and using 2 of these is all super cool. Now I don't have 2 of these unfortunately, but I just think that these swords attacks is just a really cool ability overall, and definitely the best for warrior. Using this spell is super easy. All you have to do is the following. You gotta go ahead and get the mobs around you, and once you do them, just use the spinning blades, and they'll be constantly hit. So you gotta be careful of those snipers because they do not walk as quickly. For bosses, you can just go ahead and walk with them in a whirlwind pattern, exactly like this. The second to last and the last spell that you can technically obtain is Phantom Flames. Phantom Flames basically is a square thingy, basically it's a rectangle that shoots a little beam that does a lot of damage. Now this thing is through ticks and does 365 times through times 8, which is a ghostly orb that goes around that basically goes forward and its damage overall. This thing does a damage area exactly like the cannonball spell, like the ghost one, this one. It basically works like that, but it's more effective and does more damage overall. Here's how you do it on a dungeon. Here's how you use the spell. Now basically, once you go ahead and have a group of enemies, you're going to go ahead and shoot it. And if there's not any mobs, you can actually make them chase you into them. For example, if I go ahead and use mine in the middle, I can go ahead and make those guys soldiers chase me right in here where they're taking damage. That's how you can use this little attack, and this is the preferable spell if you're doing this on Pirate Island Nightmare. And the final spell we have here is Skull Flames. Now if you haven't watched the series, you'll probably hear from this spell. Skull Flames is the old spell that got deleted from the game. Well, basically it is no longer obtainable. It works exactly as Phantom Flames. It is the same thing, but Phantom Flames is like the new version. This new version's been here for years, and Skull Flames has no description. It has no description at all. Like, normally it says the multiplier and everything, how many ticks it does, but this one says the definition of nothing. So that's interesting. This is used exactly like Phantom Flame, so I don't think there's going to be an introduction or basically a tutorial on how to use this exactly. Well, there you have it. Every single Pirate Island spell and how to use them. I hope this helps, and I hope you've been enjoying watching the series. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe. YouTube says you'll like this video right over here on top of the salesman. And waddle out, my friends.